Hello, and we have some crypto news for you tonight. As you've noticed lately, Solana and XRP has been pumping. There's a very simple reason why, and it's the same for both coins. They both have big events that are actually ongoing right now or are coming up. I believe XRP's annual Swell conference is being held in Dubai. I think November 8th through 9th, I believe. And Solana's big conference is actually right now. I think it's like basically October 30th through like November 7th or something. So Solana's experiencing the peak of its pump right now. I would definitely sell out before half the conference is over or after some major announcement if it comes. How these things work is these are buy the rumor, sell the news. And generally the news does not result in any like major buys immediately for the coin. So the coin kinds to peak and then go down right after the conference. This has happened at Swell as well as at other conferences. There's a lot of hype built up for these conferences. People buy in. They expect some really big news to come out, like some earth-shattering news. It usually doesn't, and then it goes back down. Or even if there is some really big news, like Ripple's ODL launch in 2018, it generally spikes and then comes down afterwards. If you see that spike, you will want to sell out. If you don't see the spike, then before like the conference is fully over, you'll probably want to sell out as well, because that means there's really no major news coming and the price will drop back down after the conference. It's happened pretty much on several Swell occasions, and on the Solana thing, I'm going to guess it's the same thing. Not saying the projects are bad themselves. This happens to every coin during their conference because people get super hyped up for the conference, whether it's like Cardano, which is the whole Dish Network thing, or Ripple with Swell, ODL, and other stuff. And now Solana might be announcing something. People get super excited. They think there's going to be something earth-shattering. And then, the whales are just kind of watching there. They know people are going to pump it up. They help pump it up. And then at the top, they actually sell. Solana and XRP is only up about 4% today. Solana's up 11% today. So Solana has gone up more. My guess is like SOL will probably go back down in the $20-something range after this conference, and then XRP will probably go to around 52-53 cents again. It went from 52-53 cents again to like 57 right now, and I think it might actually go into the 60s. Solana, I think, could go above 40. I think that's going to be kind of its peak. And XRP, I would say like maybe 60 cents, maybe 62 cents, 63 cents, if it gets there, would be the peak. I have seen XRP pump by as much as 40-50% for the Swell conference, so you might want to hold on until like the conference actually comes, or about like halfway through the conference. But like if you get to the conference or halfway through the conference and you see the price starting to drop, you probably will want to sell and then buy back in later. And the thing is, you can pretty much always buy back in later at a lower price for these coins. Because as far as I'm concerned, there isn't any really huge news that would cause these to actually pump. There's the usual rumors and hype, but there's not any like huge news. And if it doesn't come at this conference, then people are going to be somewhat disappointed. And the whales, they're not really going to be disappointed, but they are going to sell out because they know that the hype and excitement is actually over after the event is over, and people actually do want to sell out and cash in on some of those gains. So remember those dates. I think it's like November 8th through 9th for Swell. You can check to see when Swell actually is. And I do believe like the Solana conference ends like this Friday. So this Friday, I think, is the 3rd. So like the Solana thing ends the 3rd. Swell ends the 8th or is on the 8th or the 9th. Remember those dates. I would honestly sell out sometime in those dates or between there, based on each respective coin. Just make sure that you're not holding a gigantic bag of the coin that you weren't holding before the conference is over, or you could actually be in a pretty big loss. So yeah, maybe a good quick trade right now for both Solana and XRP, but really you do not want to be buying when they're actually leading into these conferences or like during those conferences, because usually that does result at least in a short-term loss. And the thing is, these coins do dump 20-30% after the event's up, so you can always buy in back at the original price if you're looking to get into that coin. TRB, or Teller, has been pumping over 100% this month, and there's no specific reason that I could actually find. However, whales are actually accumulating according to on-chain analytics. And it's at like $110 right now. It's getting close to the all-time high. If you're wondering what the all-time high is, the all-time high is $164, I believe. And it's basically come up from $8 back in June to $110 right now for TRB. And I do believe there might actually be a ceiling at 164. So I would actually sell out a little bit before 164 because there might be a lot of selling pressure around then. People want to get out, or people are looking like, oh, it's going to reach its all-time high. Whales might want to dump before then as well. I mean, realistically, if a coin like this is pumped 10x in a bear market and I don't see any massive news for it, I'd be wanting to sell out for some profits right now because like it can't really go up forever. And some people are saying it's priming for a bull run, but priming for a bull run really wouldn't make a coin go up 10x. It might make it go up like 50-60%, but not really 10x, just priming for a bull run. The thing is, there's got to be some big accumulation, big pumps allowed, unless you're waiting for some like really big news that we don't really know about for TRB. I think it's almost that time where they might actually let it dump. And you know, like TRB only really has a market cap of over 200 million, which means it was under 20, it was like 20 million or less when it started. So a couple of big players can actually pump the coin up. So you have to be careful about coins like that. So TRB, definitely be selling probably before 164, probably before 150. I mean, you can keep a moon bag if you want, but I would actually take some profits and reinvest them in other coins, especially if you got in at the low at like $8 or so. If you know some like big news for TRB, like they're going to be actually competitive with Chainlink or a bunch of people have adopted them, maybe that would be different. But even then though, like a 10x increase, that's a good deal for some profits. So that's my views on Teller right now. Do Kwon in the Terra Luna case could actually be a devastating blow, a roundhouse kick to the face for the SEC. Why? Because the SEC has not actually been able to prove any of their allegations against Do Kwon. And now this is the second time that Do Kwon and his legal team have basically put it forth to the judge to dismiss the case. Why? Because the SEC is essentially stalling right now. That's why. And the thing is, like, if the SEC can't even prove like the low-hanging fruit, like Terra Luna as a security, they're not going to be able to prove any coins as security. So they can just kiss the Coinbase case goodbye if they actually don't find Terra Luna, if they can't find Terra Luna guilty or provide the evidence. And the thing is, like, the legal counsel for Do Kwon is saying, like, hey, you know, they've been investigating us for like a year and a half now, and they have found pretty much nothing. They have brought nothing to court, so we moved to dismiss this case. Now, the first time they moved to dismiss this case was a couple of months ago. Maybe the judge thought there wasn't actually enough time, but the longer the SEC draws this out, the more likely that the case is going to get tossed because the judges aren't happy with the SEC right now. They can see that the SEC is actually stalling in all these cases, and they don't really like stalling cases all that much. The thing is, if you've had over a year to actually prove your case and you've brought no real evidence that, you know, like he said he sold illegal securities, then more or less, like, your thing's dead in the water. And I think this would be a very, very big, devastating blow to the SEC and their attempt to label cryptos as securities. Because if you can't even label Terra Luna as a security, what can you actually label as a security? So I think this would put a big, big black mark on their case, including the case against Coinbase and Binance. And the SEC keeps on saying that, you see, like, judges are ruling differently. If the Terra Luna judge just completely dismissed the case, I think, like, the Coinbase case is much, much more likely to get dismissed. So despite the fact that a lot of people actually lost money with Do Kwon, I am low-key on Team Do Kwon right now because I want the SEC to be completely embarrassed. I want them to lose credibility so they will have less credibility in harassing crypto projects and harassing crypto exchanges, because I think this would be a really huge blow to both the morale, the ego, and also the legal credibility that the SEC has for suing all the coins we have or suing all the exchanges, which is actually way more dangerous. So the thing is, like, obviously the more coins that went against the SEC in the securities case, the better it is. And remember, the SEC internally has cracks within the securities stuff. Hester Pierce doesn't agree with it, and I think if they start losing more of these cases, there's going to be more like people that actually dissent. They only need 3 people to dissent to stop harassing crypto altogether. And they got one, they might be getting another, because in the Grayscale case and the ETF case, there's already 2 dissidents. So the thing is, like, they might get that other guy to come over on this case as well. The more they lose, the lower the morale is going to be. And the more pissed off the judges are going to be at the SEC, because judges generally don't like people that just try to stall forever. I mean, Judge Netburn in the Ripple case was getting really pissed off at the SEC. And I think this particular Terra Luna judge, unless like the SEC could actually bring the goods to the table, he's not going to be too happy either. So yes, I'm on Team Do Kwon, despite the fact that a lot of people lost money on Do Kwon. And here's the reason that here's the other thing about Do Kwon. At least in the United States, Do Kwon didn't actually commingle people's funds. Do Kwon basically just had a really crappy project that relied on a crappy algorithm that basically SBF took down. Now, that could be like sued for negligence, but I'm not really sure if that could be criminal behavior. There also is the allegation, of course, that he sold off a bunch of Terra Luna right before it crashed, and that could definitely be insider trading, but they're saying that he sold off, like, he was selling off each month, like, in advance, pretty much the same amount, so he could have just been cashing out. Not really sure if there's that much of a rule against that, and they allege that he, like, funneled millions of dollars through a private bank, like, through a fraudulent bank account, but the SEC has not been able to prove that, and you can only delay for so long before you start having to prove stuff, so the SEC is in a very, very tough position here. And I think like they have to basically be able to win this Terra Luna case if they're actually going to have any chance in the Coinbase case. Remember, the refusal of the dismissal in the first instance that Do Kwon and co. try to get their case dismissed was seen as a victory for the SEC. But here's the thing. Just because the judge refused to dismiss the case does not mean you actually won the case. You still have to fight the case. And they're just stalling right now because they don't really have the evidence. And last of all, we got to talk about the SBF trial analysis. Basically, I already talked about it in my last video. If you haven't seen my last video, please go watch that. Essentially, it consisted of a lot of questions and cross-examination, and Sam Bankman-Fried saying, I don't remember this. I don't recall that. And then it consisted right afterwards of the assistant prosecutor being like, bitch, I have the receipts right here. This is exactly what you said. So it was a hilarious but not so great afternoon for Sam Bankman-Fried, and I think he is totally cooked. His strategy is just to convince one of the jury to actually find him not guilty, so there will be a hung jury, but after that, I don't think there's any chance that anyone thinks he's actually innocent. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you, and have a nice day.